Hello, everybody. Um, Today I want to be explaining the Vietnam War. I know some of you have different opinions. Oh, our soldiers were hurting innocent people. But today, I'm going to tell you the truth behind Vietnam. Vietnam War was a very deadly war, a sad war to be exact. Nearly 700,000 troops were killed, and many of them came home with PTSD, but not wanted or loved by their families. Why? Well, today I'll be cracking down on this. So, what was the Vietnam War? The Vietnam War was a fight or a battle between the US and the communists. Well, you get my point. These two countries have obviously been going at each other for a while, but they haven't made any advances. So, they fought in Vietnam, causing many issues, such as, well, the lack of supplies and the amount of jungle that the other team had. This gave the enemy very good strategies on hiding in the grass, trees, or jungle parts of the Vietnam sections. This was also not a good idea for our troops to attack because not only that, but they also had traps set up everywhere. One soldier step on one, and you're losing your torso. Many of people believe that our troops were over there killing innocent civilians, but the truth of it is, that's not the case. The truth is that the Vietnamese was using the civilians as a death strategy. Most of the time, here's how it worked. The civilians would have guns on their back that is not visible. The Vietnamese troops, which are dressed as civilians, would run up behind them as they bend over, and then they would shoot the gun and start killing all of the American soldiers. It's either you or them. Which one do you pick? Your life, or you being shot in the head and losing the war? Also, many people believe that the American soldiers were good guys, and many of the civilians would wave or oftentimes even give the soldiers food along the way. But not everybody was that really good because a lot of people spat on the soldiers in a way of saying that you're a piece of shit and they don't care. But that's the Vietnam War. After long days of fighting in the jungle, a soldier writes to his girlfriend back at home, or his wife back at home. He can't wait to see his baby when he gets back. But the unfortunate thing is, when he gets back, he will not see the birth of his child, as will be cruel lies spread throughout the United States, causing the soldiers to be seen as losers or people to be protested at or punched. A lot of soldiers were sometimes oftenly punched by protesters for doing nothing at all. Most of these soldiers were only 19 and 21 years old. Too young to even go to war, but they did it anyway for their country, to come home and have issues with people. If you're one of these people that believe that our troops in Vietnam were bad, let me tell you something. If you call our troops bad, then why did they airlift nearly 1,000 orphans out of Vietnam in planes? I didn't think so. Because there was an operation called Operation Baby Lift, where they lifted nearly 1,000 orphans out of Vietnam on board giant airplanes. These airplanes were carrying troops, civilians, and women to keep the orphans safe and comfort, as the pilots did their best. But the stupid thing is that people still blamed our troops for some reason doing what in the soldiers' minds was a life or death situation. If only the people who protested would see what the Vietnam soldiers had to see, only then they would change their minds. Between the soldiers in half burning alive, or a soldier laying or a young kid, teenager, 19 years old, laying in a spike trap, crying. None of these civilians would understand how the soldiers dealt with their experiences, such as suffering from very terrible illnesses, such as depression, PTSD, and oftentimes the soldiers would just shoot themselves because they couldn't take the pain anymore. When they got back home, many people blamed and pointed fingers at the soldiers for what they have done when they've done nothing. If you're a Vietnam soldier out there and you're still walking out on the streets, just remember, there's a lot of people out there that point fingers at you, but there's always a lot of people who care about you. I myself care about the Vietnam soldiers because I feel like I know what they've seen. Soldiers in halves, hanging from trees. It's dangerous and sad. And who would do such a thing to cause these poor soldiers, young soldiers, to cry and go through depression because of what they've seen and what they've been hurt by? It wasn't the politicians. It was actually these it was these certain teachers, college teachers, who would go out and would spread little lies that would turn into giant lies, then turn into hate, and then turn into sadness, and then turn into protesting. These events would lead to thousands and thousands and thousands of young soldiers losing their homes. Oftentimes there'd be signs outside saying that there was no soldiers allowed. The very sad thing is the same thing happened in World War I, where British soldiers with missing limbs were found on the side of the street, doing different things to get money. Still today, a lot of Vietnam soldiers are homeless and are sick. They'll never get to experience the birth of a child. They'll never get to experience watching TV or even having time with the family, when all they wished for when they were just a kid was to come home and be with their parents and have a fulfilling life. But when they got home, they were spat at, yelled at, broken down in a million pieces, told they never mattered, told why did they ever join the war, when in their minds it was right to do what they thought. They were fighting for their country, for what they believed in, for the country that they were wanting to fight for. As the president said, it's not what the country can do for you, it's for what you could do for the country. But unfortunately, many protesters don't understand this. No, I'm not talking about today's protesters, I'm talking about the old protesters. The ones who stupidly believe the Vietnam soldiers were an issue when they really weren't. If you're a person like me, you know that what these troops have felt was horrible, terrible, all over one lie that broke their hearts, broke them down into bits, to where the point they couldn't even live. Oftentimes, they would often hang themselves because they couldn't bear the unforgiven chance. the chances of being beaten, slaughtered, or even hell, even being shot by protesters. When all they wanted to do was come home, see their child, see their wives, and be happy. Oftentimes, these soldiers, they were found and they were given the right proper help when they did find someone to love. But a good percent of them never would be able to feel the experience of walking up to their front door with a smile on their face and having their parents hug them. No, when they tried doing that, their parents more scolded them for doing actions that they never really did. If you ever see a veteran, don't yell at him, don't scream at him, don't even try to say things he hasn't done. Instead, you should walk up to him and say, "Thank you for your service," and salute him. Doing that just once could bring him happiness, because at least he knows that someone out there in the world cares. Because by doing this, he gives the soldier a connection that you know his pain, and you know what he's been through. And it kind of tells him, hey, it's alright. I know what you've been through. So I'll say thank you. And that's something you always want to do. I remember one time I was in this restaurant, and there was this veteran sitting, eating with his family. And I walked up to him, I tapped him on the shoulder, I said, thank you for your service. And he just smiled and said, thank you. By doing this, you honestly show them that you care. You show them that they're not the only ones. There's millions of people that go through war, and troops of today even suffer. But, throughout the wars, throughout the years, the whole time is we should have put down our guns and stopped fighting. But it's not the soldiers' fault. No, it's rather the politicians and protesters. Though today's protesters don't protest about war, it's still dumb enough that many of you thought one president was going to go over China, when instead he wasn't. He was making an alliance. But now, the chances of being stricken by another country is very possible. I'm not saying the protesters are wrong nowadays, but the politicians are. To be fair, I will say this. Yes, many people have different opinions, and I'm giving out my opinion. I'm saying that all veterans, all protesters, put down your signs, put down your guns. We need to learn to not have wars, but to rather make peace with the other countries. Yes, one side may like communist, and we like capitalism, but if you genuinely think about it, if we just be nice to each other, say, our old president, not our one that we have today, our old one, shook hands with the leader of China, they would have been really good friends. Who knows? We could have had stuff over there in their country, they could have stuff over here in our country, and we would have been great people. But oftentimes, yes, there'll be small battles like, I don't like what you believe and I don't like what you believe. But does it matter? Really? Come on. It's like me saying, you have to believe what I believe, and you can't say nothing about it. And that's like you telling me, well, you're going to have to believe what I believe, and you can't say nothing about it. And you can't do nothing. And the truth of it is, we should both be like, okay, you believe what you believe, I believe what I believe, But that's okay. Because it's not about what we like. It's about who we are and our personalities. The truth of it is, veterans don't want war. They never wanted war. They want to stay home with their families, but they've chosen to step up, put on their helmets, put on their outfits every day, grab their guns, and continue to fight. Because in their heads, they know that they're doing the right thing. And how do you think the other countries feel? How do you think Russia feels? How do you think China feels? The troops there, they put on their helmets, they put on their outfits, they grab their guns, and they're doing what they believe. That they're doing right. Think of it like a football game. You hoping your favorite team wins. The other town is hoping that their team wins. You know, a lot of smaller countries that got on war with themselves, like one country settled it. Instead of having guns and shooting each other, they played a nice game of soccer. Or football, as they call it. And whoever won over the country, or won the war. And not only that, but guns shouldn't be used for war. Well, they honestly should, since that's what they were built for. But they should also be used for self-defense, in case if someone, starts hitting you, or someone starts trying to kill you. You want to be the first to stop it. But what I'm saying, I'm getting off topic. What I'm saying is, respect your veterans. And if you still don't respect the veterans, then I suggest, just whenever you see one, keep it to yourself. Because you have no right to go up to them and scream stuff at them that they didn't do. Because by doing this, you can cause many, many mental illnesses, such as self-blaming. They'll even often ask, what did I do? Am I the problem? I'm probably the problem. If I just disappeared, maybe the world wouldn't care. And that's really it. So I hope you guys understand that what I'm saying is my opinion. And I'm only bringing this up because I want soldiers out there to know that if they do watch this video, there's still people that care about you. A lot of people. It may not seem like it. You may look like, it may seem like that, if you're out there on the street watching this and you think no one cares about you, well, it may seem like that, but I care about you. I care about the veterans. I care about what they do. And if I really could, I would join the army myself, which I will do probably. Because I want the veterans to know, you have been what inspired me to stand up for my country and defend those who can't defend themselves. I always thought, if some kid's gonna come to school with a gun, the one thing to do is protect the other kids in the room. Not the teacher, it's me. Some scrawny kid who eats a lot and, plays on his video game a lot. That's me. But I think military training will probably fit me out. But I love you, veterans. Please, stay on your feet. And if you feel mentally sick, please get help. There's some people out there that are going to help you, I know it. Support the army.